This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast. Today's podcast is our favorite vices dash cannabis, oil, and Bitcoin. Here's what's going on. So here's the deal with cannabis, oil, and Bitcoin. And who would have seen this coming? And we call it our three favorite vices because we view it as fun to call it that, whether they're really vices or not. That's anybody's business. So here's what's going on. Cannabis stocks are largely down 22 to 25% year to date, with something like 95% of the big cannabis companies being down more than 50% over the last year. At some point, this may turn around, but there's horrendous supply-demand challenges, supply gluts, big taxes, people not buying cannabis at the stores like there was hope that they would when there were these emerging, exploding growth stocks. So that's cannabis. The second story today is Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I was brilliant enough to buy at some price, which is a much higher price than I ultimately sold it at. So I lost literally $70,000 on Bitcoin investing, figured I would take my tax losses, and it is what it is. Now, what has happened since then? What's happened since then, Bitcoin is now up 82% year to date. So if I would have held on, I might have recovered some of that loss, though, 67% of the way down would require more than 80% of the way up, I believe. Maybe I'd be in the black now. My math is fuzzy on this. But in any event, Bitcoin's risen 82% this year. I, for rhyme or reason, can't quite figure it out. I'm not unhappy. I took my tax losses. 70,000 tax losses might worth $30,000 or so in savings, but I certainly am a Bitcoin loser. Who knows where it goes from now? The highest it's ever been, at least in the last couple of years, is about 70,000. It's back to 30,000 plus. The third vice we'll talk about, and I don't really view this as a vice, but it's popular to talk about oil as a vice. If you're in the ESG world, using oil is the worst thing ever, although the reality is electric vehicles and manufacturing electric vehicles requires lots of different minerals and ores and other kinds of issues that are also mined in countries where they don't have, where people they're often using slave labor and so forth. But in any event, in the concept of calling oil a vice, oil's down about 4% this year. At one point a year or two ago, it was down. It was up to $110, $120 when there was big scarcity going on and a lot of inflation. Now it's back at $73, but it's only down about 4% this year. So again, our three favorite vices: cannabis down about 20-25%, Bitcoin, where I'm a loser in, up 82%, and oil down about 4% year to date. Again, our three favorite vices, much like our three sons from the old TV show a long time ago. If anybody remembers the reference to our three sons, and to listen to this all the way through, text me at 773-766-5322. And if you're the first person to text me, you've not done it in a while, we'll send you a $100 Amazon gift certificate. Thank you very much for listening to the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast.